The sleek corridors of the Solaris research facility buzzed with an undercurrent of quiet brilliance. Neon lights, caught between a spectrum of blues and whites, stretched overhead like strings of cosmic phenomena, illuminating the workstations below where scientists like Elara Nova probed the universe's secrets. Outside the titanium glass panes, Earth's distant horizon shimmered under a veil of stars, reminding Elara daily of her place in the cosmos. Elara sat at her console, a curved interface projecting holographic star maps that floated gently in the air, casting a gentle glow on her face. Her eyes, a reflection of nebulae and distant moons, were fixed on a swirling mass of data. But beneath her professional composure, a shadow of yearning stirred. While her life at the facility brimmed with the allure of knowledge and discovery, each day seemed like a dance on the edge of discovery, one step away from the truly unknown. Her thoughts often drifted from the gentle hum of machinery around her to the untamed, uncharted expanses of space. To worlds beyond the reach of light, hiding secrets she longed to unveil. Yet, each evening as the facility dimmed its lights, a quiet resignation settled in her chest, a subtle acceptance of the confines of her existence. "Elara," called a voice, bringing her back to the present. Drive. Harlan, her mentor, and head of the research team, approached her station, his face lined with a lifetime of cosmic discoveries. "Lost in the stars again, I see," he said with a knowing smile. "Always," Elara replied, a touch of wistfulness in her voice. "Every day I study them, and yet, always on the edge of something more." "Patience, Elara," Dr. Harlan advised, resting a comforting hand on her shoulder. "In this line of work, the universe rewards those who wait." Elara nodded, though her heart whispered for more than just patience. It screamed for a leap into the vast unknown, for stories yet untold, for adventures that lay beyond the written star maps. Yet, as she gazed out to the endless skies beyond, the question echoed in her mind: was she destined to live among the stars, or merely to study them from afar? The morning began much like any other for Elara Nova, until an unexpected alert from her console shattered the routine. She was perched in her usual spot, overlooking the holographic galaxy swirling serenely before her, when a soft chime interrupted the silence. A notification blinked insistently, a signal detected from a region most believed to be the product of myth, the celestial star system. Elara's heartbeat quickened as she isolated the source. The patterns were distinct, rhythms that spoke a language she had never seen but instantly craved to understand. Her fingers danced across the interface's keys, capturing the data with precision born of excitement and disbelief. This was it, proof that the legends had a foundation in reality. Dr. Harlan was at her side within moments, summoned by her focused intensity. "What have you found, Elara?" "A signal, Doctor," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper, as if speaking louder might break the fragile new reality. "From the celestial star system. It's real." His brows raised in surprise, he leaned closer. This could change everything," he murmured, all palpable in his words. "The knowledge housed there, from those who have ventured no one else has before, it's unimaginable." Before she could reply, a notification appeared, an official summons to the director's office. Elara's heart leapt, a call to explore, to venture beyond their solar confines. The director's office, sleek and minimalist, lacked the warmth of her lab but oozed authority. The walls were adorned with interactive displays of interstellar achievements, an archive of humanity's reach into space. "Elara Nova," said Director Frey as she entered, his tone formal yet excited. "You have received an invitation, an offer to join an expedition to the celestial star system. Ordinarily, we reserve such honors for the most experienced explorers. But your discovery today proves you are uniquely suited for this challenge." She hesitated, heart pounding. The thrill of adventure clashed against the ingrained caution the legends instilled. Yet, each breath she took seemed to shout in a silent chorus, "Yes. Go. This is the moment you've been waiting for. Are you ready to step beyond mere observation, Elara?" Director Frey asked, his gaze piercing yet encouraging. Images of stars, nebulae, and uncharted galaxies flashed before her eyes. Yes, she managed, voice steady but filled with the awe of the unknown. I am ready. Night had fallen by the time Elara returned to her quarters, the prospect of adventure pressing heavily on her mind. Her living space was modest, accentuated by personal trinkets from former cosmic pursuits and worlds she longed to visit. A digital display of constellations wrapped around the ceiling, comforting and limitless, yet today they felt like bars confining her within an earthly cell. She paced, silent except for the soft hum and the distant glimmer of Earth's lights beneath her window. The celestial star system, a place of both dreams and dangers. Its legendary status born not just from its secrets, but from warnings whispered in cosmic folklore, those who ventured too close never returned the same. Triumph or catastrophe, the line between them was razor thin. Am I ready for this journey? She wondered aloud, emotions swirling like a storm within her. There was fear, tightly wrapped tendrils threatening to strangle her resolve, yet there was also undeniable, unfathomable curiosity gnawing at the edges of her caution. The invitation lay open on her console, glowing with promise and peril. Opportunities like this were rare, opportunities to peel back the curtain on the universe's most intricate mysteries even rarer. With a sigh, she sank into her chair. Her mentor's voice echoed in her memory. Drive. Harlan had mentioned the importance of patience, of allowing discoveries to unfold naturally, a stark contrast to the urgent tug toward action that this call provoked within her. What am I so afraid of? She asked herself, voice barely a whisper. But she knew. The stakes, the risk of returning altered, changed irrevocably in ways she couldn't foresee, was daunting. Yet, every molecule in her body yearned for the thrill of new horizons. The silence was broken by the chime of an incoming message. She glanced at the display. It was Dr. Harlan. Brief, yet encouraging. Think not of fear, Elara, but of the endless sky. You were born for this. His words were the final nudge she needed. With a deep breath, she resolved that the invisible chains of fear would not bind her. Gripped by a budding sense of determination, uncertainty still intertwined with excitement, she returned to the console, her decision finally firm. Elara keyed in her acceptance, her pulse fluttering in synchrony with the changing constellations above, their melody now one of embarking, extending beyond Earth's cradle into the vast, tantalizing unknown. The domed observatory at the crest of the Solaris facility provided a breathtaking view of the stars, unhindered and majestic under the night sky. It was here Elara found herself summoned for a late meeting with Orion Voss, the seasoned space navigator. Though she had crossed paths with Orion before, his presence was always a source of fascination. He stood with the perspective of someone who had looked into the void and returned with its stories engraved across his heart. Orion, thank you for meeting me, Elara greeted as she approached, her voice tempered with reverence. He turned, eyes twinkling under the starlight, bearing the mirth and wisdom of someone who had danced with comets and outrun the winds of black holes. His handshake was firm, grounding. Ah, Elara. They tell me you've been invited to chase legends. Yes, she admitted, her own gaze straying to the sky, clarity mingling with apprehension. Let me share something with you, Orion offered, guiding her to a small bench where a panoramic view of the cosmos stretched infinite before them. I once doubted myself too. Many times, he began, his voice a gentle cadence. The map of the sky resembles the map of the soul, vast, star-dusted with doubts, yet filled with guiding lights. Elara listened intently, a student at the cusp of understanding. But how do you reconcile the fear? She asked. Orion turned his gaze to the spiraling arm of the Milky Way above. By remembering that every journey begins with stepping into not knowing. And every peril faced can become a story, a guide for those who follow. His words were a solace, weaving a tapestry of courage around her doubts. He reached within his jacket, producing a small, worn diary, a myriad of journeys captured within ink. Here, look, he urged, passing the journal to Elara. She accepted it reverently, thumbing through pages filled with star charts, sketches of distant moons, and notes in neat, hurried writing. Orion was a narrator of infinity, each page a testament to the striving spirit. Why do you travel? she inquired, genuinely curious. Because in the face of the unknown we find ourselves, Elara. That's where destiny is etched, he replied, his words resonant with certainty. For a moment, the two sat in silence. The universe unfolded above them, a vast tapestry of invitations. Stars blinked like ancient storytellers, urging them onward. Orion's encouragement was infectious, a tide sweeping her toward acceptance. Some part within her, once restrained, now felt ready to embrace the cosmic stage. She clutched the diary close, emboldened by his wisdom and the promise of her own stories yet to be written. "I think I'm ready," she said finally, belief charging her voice with new conviction. Orion grinned, a conspiratorial gleam. "Then go, Elara Nova. Chase those legends, and spin us tales from the stars." The launch bay hummed with the anticipation of departure, a grand spaceship, the Arcturus, poised at its center. Its polished metal body glistened under bright lights, ready to slice through the vast curtain of space awaiting just beyond Earth's grasp. Elara stood at the edge of the platform, the weight of her decision and gear pressing into her, heart drumming a symphony of fear and exhilaration. She was taking the leap, leaving behind the known for whispers and promises among the stars. Around her, crew members buzzed, final preparations abounded as an orchestra of footsteps, commands, and machinery mingled into one. Beside her stood Dr. Harlan, an anchor of wisdom amidst the sea of new adventure. His presence was reassuring. "Remember the sky," he said softly, as they both watched the crew bustle. "Look at each challenge as a constellation, separate stars forming a narrative that only you can decipher." "Thank you, for everything," Elara replied, sincerity lacing every word. She appreciated more than ever the grounding his presence provided. The call to board echoed through the bay. Elara took a deep breath, turning toward the open hatch of the Arcturus. As she crossed the threshold, it felt like crossing from reality into legend. In the cockpit, the crew were a hive mind, deeply connected, each role pivotal for the mission's success. Captain Selena Rain, a stalwart figure with eyes sharp and calculating, greeted Elara with a nod. "As ready as I'll ever be," Elara replied, strapping into her seat, her pulse a measured drumbeat matching the cadence of the engines. As the spacecraft lifted, Earth's embrace loosened its hold, gravity's tether gentle to the point of release. Through the viewport, the planet shrank, a sapphire globe cradled in vast darkness, the stars beyond unfurling. "Steady does it," Captain Rain murmured, her gaze focused on the controls as the ship powered forward. Cosmic phenomena danced beyond the glass, a symphony of light and shadow. A blazing comet streaked by, trailing a ribbon of golden dust, a dazzling herald of their expedition. Elara's heart soared, matching the cruiser's trajectory. This was her place, the vibrant pulse of the universe responding to their intrusion with its own wondrous displays. They were mere breaths into the voyage when a sudden shudder rattled through the Arcturus, a celestial turbulence that jolted them and sent adrenaline thrumming once more. "Brace yourselves," Captain Rain commanded coolly. The ship veered through currents of unseen star winds, bowing to the whims of cosmic forces. In that minute war with the universe, muscles tensed and minds sharpened, Elara felt a unity with her crewmates, a collective push against forces beyond their comprehension. As tranquility eventually returned, breaths released into the air of the cabin almost tangibly. Elara understood this journey was not just a physical voyage but an emotional one. It would test resolve, courage, and spirit at every turn. Yet, the exhilaration of stepping across that threshold fired her soul. Together, they sped into the ocean of stars, her dreams unfurling on starlit sails, guiding them deeper into the mysteries of space. The Arcturus glided through space, cutting a path through the vast, dark expanse, its crew united in purpose yet distinct in their endeavors. Each day brought new challenges, tests of skill and spirit that forged the team into a cohesive unit. Elara's station, a multifunctional console filled with readouts and holographic displays, became her sanctum. It was here she unraveled the echoes of space, translating whispers into knowledge, while her mind mapped the unseen challenges and allies they might encounter. Their first true trial came in the form of an asteroid belt, an ancient celestial river of rock and metal. From the command deck, Captain Rain's voice was decisive. "Prepare for navigation through the belt. Everyone, at stations." The ship's path twisted and danced, avoiding the remorseless chunks of asteroids whose ages were etched in craters and jagged edges. "Focus, people," Rain's voice carried. "This is where we earn our stripes." Elara's fingers moved with precision, interpreting data and aiding the crew's maneuvering efforts. In those tensely fraught moments, she found camaraderie with her fellow travelers. Next to her, Kyle, a deft engineer and quiet but reliable presence, grinned, tension making way for exhilaration. "Nothing like a bit of cosmic dodgeball to brighten your day, huh?" Elara offered a quick smile. "Just another day at the office," she quipped back, tension briefly lifted by humor. Hours later, having safely run the gauntlet of celestial obstacles, the crew exchanged relieved glances, a new badge of survival shared silently among them. The next challenge approached them as a stellar storm, untamed electromagnetic tides that lashed the ship with unpredictable energy bursts. Elara could feel the hum of charged particles in her bones, a reminder of the universe's uncontrollable power. From her console, she worked alongside Kyle to recalibrate the shield harmonics, a delicate choreography of science and intuition. "Hold on tight," Kyle muttered, his fingers nimble across controls. "She's gonna buck like a wild mare." The ship shuddered, a silent testament to the storm's fury, yet it persevered, steel and will molding together to endure. As the skies calmed and stars re-emerged from the chaotic sprawl, Elara felt the depth of their fortitude, the understanding that each trial forged them stronger. In the quiet hours between, Elara prowled the ship, learning from her crew, drawing closer to those she relied on during dire hours. It was during these moments she learned more of Zylar Thorne. A rival explorer, his name whispered with a mixture of awe and caution. Thorne's expeditions were renowned for success tinged with ruthlessness, his insatiable hunger for knowledge a threat to all who opposed him. "Be wary of Zylar," Captain Rain had warned during a shared meal, her voice grave and laced with unspoken caution. "He'll be drawn to the celestial secrets like a moth to flame, and he cares little for those he shadows." Elara nodded, storing the warning alongside the camaraderie and challenges faced already. Thorne's presence, albeit distant, lingered in her thoughts, a phantom rival in her quest. Amid tests and alliances, the crew forged their path through space, an intricate ballet against the universe's backdrop, all leading toward a single, treacherous goal. The Arcturus coasted into the celestial star system under the shadow of distant cosmic giants. The system spread before them, a stellar city cloaked in mystery and grandeur, with planets orbiting like silent sentinels keeping untold histories locked tight. Elara stood at the forefront of the observation deck, eyes wide with awe and purpose. "We made it," she breathed, the culmination of their journey reflected in her voice. Captain Rain and the crew joined her, each taking in the panorama of swirling cosmic clouds and stars that seemed imbued with ancient secrets. "Everyone alert," Rain ordered, her command sharp against the soft hum of the ship's systems. "This is where our mettle is truly tested." Elara felt the charge in the air, a crackling sense of destiny and challenge. Her thoughts darted to the tales of cosmic sentinels, guardians rumored to protect the generational knowledge enshrined here from those deemed unworthy. Kyle, forever the pragmatist, was already working on deciphering energy readings. "These readings are off the charts," he observed, or underpinning his professional detachment. "That's the defense system," Elara theorized, recalling ancient texts and legends. The sentinels wouldn't be physical, but manifestations of energy designed to ward off trespassers. As if in response, the ship shuddered and alarms flared. A brilliant, radiant wave of cosmic force swept over them, a warning shot across the bow. "Engage countermeasures." Rain barked, voice a spear of command amidst the chaos. Elara's hands flew over her console, heart pounding with fear and exhilaration as she worked with Kyle to adapt the ship's shields, forging a protective bubble against the celestial tempests. Their struggle was a game of wit and instinct, a dance with forces far older and wiser than they were. Every adjustment required swift calculation and nerve. "We have to prove ourselves worthy," Elara realized aloud, the core of her research unraveling before her eyes, a lesson not wrapped in text but in the very atoms of this ancient system. The ship lurched, suspended in the delicate balance of ignition and submission. Breaths were held, each crew member united in will and resolve, not just for survival, but to outsmart cosmic wisdom that dwarfed them. Silence descended as abruptly as the storm had risen. The cosmos recognized their perseverance, granting them passage further into the heart of the system. As they navigated deeper, Elara couldn't shake the feeling of Zylar Thorne's shadow trailing them. For now, the Sentinel's test was passed, but new challenges loomed just beyond the next star. "It's beautiful," Kyle mused, though his mind shared the same worried cast as hers. "Yes," Elara agreed, dynamism coating each word. "But this beauty holds trials yet to come." With Zylar's potential arrival pushing them onward, Elara and her crew prepared to delve into the system's core, a place where secrets lay sleeping under cosmic guardians, markers of a journey that demanded all their courage and cunning. "The real test is just beginning," Elara whispered, a private vow to the stars and herself. "Let's see what legends are truly made of."